Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem HaRachakodash. Say double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So we'll talk about corporate America and how the Lord is slowly pulling Babylon apart piece by piece, right? When the Lord said in the scriptures that Babylon will be destroyed, ultimately in the end it will be destroyed. Because America is Babylon the Great, is also known as Sodom, that goes without saying, and as well as Egypt. In the scriptures, Egypt is known as the house of bondage for the nation of Israel. The Israelites, being the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American people, were placed in bondage once again in this land, in the land of Egypt, which is Babylon the Great. We would put it here in hardcore bondage, hardcore slavery. And that includes the Native American Indians as well as the Mexicans, Puerto Ricans on down. They also have a history of being put into slavery. As well as I'll read, it says that we both were oppressed together. Now, the Lord said ultimately this place is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire, but there's going to be a buildup, and part of that buildup is that they're going to reach a certain height, and then they're going to tank. And that certain height, and if you listen to other economists, they'll actually tell you that they believe that the best year America was at its peak up in the 1960s up until 1969, and that's actually when everything went downhill. There's that year has a significance. 1969 is a very important year. That year, not only did they so-called stage the moon landing, which never happened, as the book of Obadiah says, soon since thy set thy nest among the stars, talking to the Edomites, the so-called white man, so-called white people, right? And that includes the 1948ers, the small hats, because they're Edomites too. It says, when you set your nest among the stars, thence will the Lord bring you down. And that stage in that moon landing, that's when the Lord brought you down, because that's when your pride was at an all-time high, where you would actually stage a green screen production to fool the world into believing that you were the first country or first people ever to do the impossible and land on the moon, which never happened. Not only that, I always like to mention that from 1969 to 1972, they went back and forth several times and so-called gather information, and that information is used today and actually taught in curriculums in school, like physics and stuff like that, which is a bunch of BS. The information is just a bunch of BS, and it's actually a requirement now to pass or to go to pass, but it never happened. But their pride was at an all-time high, and so much so, and I believe they did it because they honestly thought that they could keep the lie going, and as they keep the lie going, then they would have figured out a way to actually do it. They would have had enough time to try to do it again. But as time progressed, right, I'm not going to make it about this video about that, but as time progressed, I just like to mention it, right? Over 50 years, that lie is now being admitted, is being recognized as a big fat lie. So much so that in 2019, NASA released a video titled "We're Going Back." Now, if you try to YouTube search that, you probably won't see it. It probably won't come up right away. You got to do some digging, because they silently try to hide that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to silently be deleted by the year ends. But they said in the video proudly, "We're going back in 2024 to the moon, and we're going to stay." And here we are in 2024, and I'm pretty sure they want people to forget about it. See, you're going down, okay? But also in 1969, that's when the truth came out. The truth started with Abba Bivens. The Spirit moved on him to go out and teach and gather other brothers to teach them that they are Israelites. And ever since, that small seed has grown, like a mustard seed, has grown into a mustard tree, and now you got Israelites on all four corners. So the Lord is slowly dissecting America apart. Okay, the Lord said that the Edomites will be given shame for glory. So everything that they taught in schools, their so-called pioneers, they're scientists, they're great inventors. It's being revealed now that those people were actually just a bunch of devils. George Washington, the devil. Abraham Lincoln, the devil. He never freed the slaves, as people think. He did not free the slaves. Okay, his actual quotes in his history, he makes it very clear that he is opposed to the coming together of so-called blacks and whites. And he said, if there had to be one over the other, I will always choose the so-called white race, because his strategic move to bring the slaves from the South to the North, right, the Confederate, right, because a lot of people don't actually read the Emancipation Proclamation. When it's talking about slavery abolishment, it was only talking about those Confederate states. The Union states still had slaves, but and he did that to punish them, because the Confederates wanted to oppose the tariff tax. So, and they were like, we're going to split off. So to punish them, he said, you ain't splitting off, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your slaves away. That's a punishment. And he was being hinted at as, oh, so you saying that you for black people now, you for black people. So he went up and made it very clear, I am not for them. But they stopped there at that line, at that emancipation, and make you believe like, oh, he said the slaves are free. No, you keep reading. He says those Confederate states, only those states only, right? So in his first draft of the 13th or the 14th Amendment, didn't actually free the slaves. After he died, they pampered it up, right, to try to make him look like a good person. They changed it to say, okay, let's free the slaves, which in actuality, that was the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua freeing us, right? So all those lies are starting to come out, and at the same time, you have a lot of jobs being taken away, right? And part of it is to fit the image of the beast, which is to have it to where nobody owns anything, getting rid of people, getting rid of their salaries, and etc. But in general, corporate America is going down, right? And I got the video, the information by watching this brother here, Orlando Minor. I watch his channel. I'm subscribed to him on my other channel, my Folly channel, and does good videos. I'm subscribed to a few channels to keep up with you could say the economy that's going on out there. So let's just first define corporate America. It says corporate America is a term that refers to the private sector businesses and corporations in the United States that are a part of the mainstream economy and are usually high profile, right? So these are the jobs when you see people who make $200K a year, $300K, $500K, is it tech? When you hear people say I'm in technology, chances are they're working for these big corporations. These are the ones bringing home the big bags that can actually afford to live in those luxurious places and, in the high expensive paid places in the US. Yes, those jobs. Okay, those are those salaries. And they're starting to take a hit. As we're going to talk about, both Intel, the computer chip company, as well as Dell, all right, laying off a total of about 30,000 people, right? Because one, they're using AI, and two, they're also struggling. So let's jump. Says the term is broader than just the Fortune 500,000 to 5,000, and more accurately includes all businesses that operate for a profit, whether they are public or private. This includes startup employees who also work for, quote, the man, right? So if we look at Intel, as he covered, August 2024, it says Intel will lay off 15,000 employees. It says Hillsboro-based chip maker Intel will lay off around 15,000 people, including 3,000 in Oregon, as it struggles to rebound following several difficult years. So they're starting to fall. And trust me, 15,000 people, that's a lot of people, right? 3,000 people, that's a lot of people, right? That's about to be out of a job. That's huge. That's a big number, And, I'm not happy, for anybody losing their job, because unless the elect, we're only looking out for the elect. But it just goes to show you that tech, right? A lot of people want to run the tech because they think tech is the safe haven. They think tech, you work for tech, you work for corporate America, you good, you safe. Just like a lot of people who think they work for the government is safe. And they're both figuring out that ain't none of them safe because America overall is just falling. So that's a lot of people. That's 15,000 people, right, who going to have to change their lifestyles. They're going to be applying for the same other jobs. They're going to have to probably move, you know what I'm saying, downsize, all these things. That's going to cause, you know, you could say a crash, right? It says CEO Pat Gelsinger announced major cuts last week in the company-wide email saying a decisive action is needed for the company posted second quarter losses of 1.6 billion revenue, now down 24 billion since 2020, while Intel has increased its workforce by 10%. So they're doing more work. This is what they're saying, right? And they're saying that since 2020, they've lost a total of 24 billion in revenue. Now, these companies, you gotta remember, they're just greedy as all hell. They're definitely making enough to sustain themselves and to produce further, but a lot of them just want money. You know what I'm saying? And the top company CEOs, all that, they're not gonna dab into their salary. If things get you, they're gonna just lay you off. They're gonna lay the people off. Okay. It also says that their stock dropped from 19%, right? So I don't have to read anymore. And if we go to Dell, it says, yes, Dell Technologies is laying off employees as part of a reorganization in sales team and a new AI strategy. As of August 2024, Dell has laid off at least 12,500 employees in sales and marketing teams. This could be the largest layoffs ever. Okay, managers and senior managers were the main targets. All right. So corporate America is being hit by the Lord. So let's read the scriptures. Jeremiah chapter 50. I'll first read, as promised, verse 33. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, that's the 12 tribes of Israel, were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Now, this chapter is solely talking about destruction towards Babylon. As Jeremiah 50 says, the word of the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Now, you might say, well, that must mean it already happened because ancient Babylon had fell. Actually, it's talking about a new Babylon. Just like when you go to Revelation 18, it tells you. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. This Babylon is a new Babylon because this was during the Roman Empire, well after Babylon fell. The prophecies in Jeremiah and Isaiah, when it talks about the destruction of Babylon, especially by fire, it was prophesying of the new Babylon, which is America, and is also known as Sodom and Egypt. And because part of the prophecy, as Jeremiah 50 says, Isaiah 13 says, Jeremiah 51 says, and others say, that no man will inhabit this land anymore after it's destroyed. It will only be a fiery heat. It'll turn to heap. And afterwards, when the smoke dies down, it will be the inhabitations of desert creatures. That's what it means when it says it's hold of every foul spirit and devils and unclean and hateful bird. It's talking about literal. It's going to only be inhabited by desert creatures. So back in Jeremiah, I'm going to jump down to verse 38. Okay, this, like I said, this is a prophecy against Babylon. It says, a drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are made upon her idols. So the waters, right, being dried up, meaning you could say it's gonna actually happen physically, and also just in general, waters can represent, you could say, the economy. Part of having a good land, being next to a good river, like Psalms 1:1 says, he that feareth the Lord shall be as one planted right next to running waters, because you can flourish. You have basically everything you need to sustain, run a garden, or just to flourish in general. So that's one. And then as the next verse says, therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the land shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall no more be inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why this one is going to be with fire, but by the nuclear missiles. And the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. So that's just the point on that. America will no longer be inhabited by people very soon. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So the scriptures is warning you to take hold of this truth and consider it now. It says, in the days of thy youth, before the evil days, before the time is near. Because as of right now, you may say, oh, I'm not worried about it right now. Because you're going to think that you're going to have, once you see that the America's at a point of no return, then you're going to say, okay, let me turn to the Lord now. But it's going to be too late. The Lord prophesied, as the days of Noah were, so shall it come in the Son of Man be. They were eating, drinking, giving into marriage, partying, until Noah entered the flood. And the flood, that's like to Noah entered the ark, and the flood drove them all away. So shall it be for the coming of the Son of Man. If you taking the time to say, I'll get to it when I get to it, or I'll get to it when I get to it, right? You're setting yourself up. Because as it goes on to say, it says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds after the rain. So you want to get this truth before you see that the world, the people, is at a place of no return, right? It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. The keepers of the house represent your leaders of your businesses, okay? It says, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. The grinders are the workplace, your workers. So part of these hard times is that there won't be any work, right? It's going to be a shortage of work. People are already now having problems finding work, finding jobs. And then on top of it, add these layoffs in corporate America, which is tech. A lot of people, like I said, believe in tech. They believe, yeah, tech, that's the place to go. Heck, if you starting out now and you got a direction to go, tech is not the way. People tell you tech probably, some people tell you, oh, tech is probably good.
Tap the chest, see what you get.
Okay. That's an ad. But tech is failing too. In fact, Mr. Orlando, he just did another video today saying that they laying off nurses now. So you just pick you pick you pick what you can, preferably probably like a trade or something that you can get in, and Lord's will, the Lord protect his elect until that time come. But you see, the Lord is bringing judgment upon Babylon. You would think nurses, the hospital, all these places are secure. Nothing is secure. There's no job secure nowadays. The pandemic taught that to a lot of people. Some people just thought that they would never lose their job. Even servers, they said service, the servant restaurants, they never thought that the day would come where they would lose their job. They just could never function. Nobody would ever think that their job could be jeopardized. But the fact is, the Lord is visiting Babylon. He's against this place. Everybody would agree that now the economy is bad, right? And then on top of it, you got people getting laid off, right? It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, meaning very little work, showing you that the Lord's going to hit this economy, right? It says, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Exactly. So again, it goes to saying like, you see that the place is at a point of no return. There's no mirth in the streets. The best parts to live are no longer the best parts to live. You can't. The American dream has been dead, right? It's all. And look, like in Florida, places like Florida, California, a lot of people are leaving those places. Those used to be the most desired places, but because of the cost of living, it's too damn high. Like, like trying to buy a house in Florida is going to be ridiculous, because almost impossible, because the house insurance is going to just about be on par with the damn price of the house. And they only doing it because of all those hurricanes. That's the Lord judging his place. So for them to be insured, they want basically a second mortgage from you. So a lot of people saying this is ridiculous. Same with California, right? And mind you, that Intel, that 15,000 employees, they're housed in California. So that's 15,000 people that's now out of a gig. Like I said, that's corporate job, and they cutthroat, you know. So they all gonna be looking for the same jobs, you know. That's 15,000 more people on the market, and a lot of people, and you think they all gonna get replaced or go find somewhere else? They're gonna have to probably make some serious changes, right? Verse 4 says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. And that's going to be literal too, because the Bible also prophesies martial law. Okay. It says, and when the sound of grinding is low, that's basically what you're hearing now. When you hear about all these layoffs, that's all you hear nowadays, layoffs, because they're losing money and because of AI. Right. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And oh man, can't tell me we ain't experiencing that right now. The music today is trash. Just one more. Revelation 18, verse 11. This is destruction of Babylon, right? It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointment and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Right? And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. So all of these things, these precious things that other countries who traded, bought or traded, imported in America, these things that accumulated wealth for them, even slaves, right? It says souls of men, that goes into trafficking. Oh yeah, all these things that happen here. It says the fruit of thy soul that thy lusted after are departed from thee. So all the blessings, all not blessings, but all the things they enjoyed from this place is coming to an end. The Lord is slowly picking this place apart, piece by piece. It's like that game where you stack the little blocks, and then each person has to pull a block out, and when whoever keeps it standing, and when it falls, that person, loses or whatever. The Lord is slowly picking this place apart piece by piece before it finally falls. So the economy, corporate America getting hurt, that's huge. That's huge. Just one more, as it says, the day of the Lord, 1 Thessalonians 5. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, right, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So with that, shalom.